Well, Peter, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us on Active FM. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Great, man, great. Well, Peter, I'll get right into it because I've sort of been through your LinkedIn profile, and it's great to see. I see you identify as a software developer.
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah, I'm a self-taught. Well, it's quite a journey. It's a very interesting journey.
Superman. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got started?
Yeah. So I'm quite young. I'm 22 years old, so I can't say I have experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened was, straight after high school, I tried to go to university and college and stuff, but I just a little confession. What I used to do in high school is I used to skip school. I used to bunk school some days to just learn about different ideas, study Facebook, study Google. How did these companies become so big? So I'd take some days off and just research those stuff. So when I got to high school, when I got to university, I figured that there's actually quite a lot of things that I already know already. So I decided, you know what, it's better for me to just learn from an individual, like do internship rather than just study and study just for the sake of getting good marks. So I think I was registered as a student for 6 months, but I only went to about 10 classes in total. And then what I did was I worked with the lady. She started off as my mentor, but then she ended up becoming my first client, my first kind of big international clients. And what I did was I started off as a digital marketing specialist. And that went well for about 3 months. And then after 3 months, we kind of restructured our contract. And we said, hey, why don't I just get paid for what I do? Because I was kind of going beyond the expectations that she was expecting. So I started off as a digital marketing specialist. And that was, when you start something, you're not too sure. So I was literally in the beginning, I dumpstuck everything. I was like, oh, these are going to be the numbers. This is what I'll do for your business. You're going to love it, But it ended up turning much better than I expected as well. And I had an idea. I pitched that idea to my mentor / client, and she said she loves the idea. It's great. However, she doesn't have the fund to make it work. I was like, okay. Well, she said resources, but at that time, I really believed that it needed a lot of cash to invest in. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I can give it a try. Maybe I can work on this idea on the side. So the problem is, though, I don't know how to code. I couldn't actually hire a software developer because these software developers are very expensive to hire. So I couldn't hire a software developer. So then I went onto YouTube. I went onto YouTube and I just started teaching myself, watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. I went to LinkedIn Learning and I just started teaching myself how to code, specifically JavaScript. Mm-hmm. And eventually, about a year later, the first kind of minimal viable product of my company was out there on Product Hunt. Yeah, that's kind of my journey.
So I think, great. So I think two things that are interesting there is, firstly, you can learn to code via YouTube.
Yes.
Very possible.
It is very, very possible. People think you can't, but I think it depends on how determined you are, actually.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I say to guys these days, I'm not in any way discounting a university education, like not by any means, because that also opens certain doors, especially if you're sort of going into the workforce. But for me, it's like you can figure anything out on YouTube these days.
Yeah.
What you want to know, you go there, and if you're prepared to spend a bit of time watching a few YouTube videos on whatever you're working in, whether it's JavaScript or Go or C# or whatever the case might be, you quickly pick it up.
Yeah, exactly
secondly, that. Is it took a year to get your minimum viable product. So it's going to take you 3 months, but it takes a year.
It was honestly, it was painful. So what I didn't say part of the story is that I was actually living at a friend's house, right? And kind of what I said to my friend's parents, I said, hey, listen, at home we don't have Wi-Fi, so can I just come here for a while I'm building this? And she said, yeah, sure, no problem. The game plan I was probably going to stall in her mind, and also in my mind as well. I thought I was going to stay there for about maybe 3 weeks max. But that 3 weeks turned into a year. So I had that pressure as well. And what happened was I started using Amazon Web Services quite early. And then that it knocked me quite hectically financially. I ended up owing them more than 30K. It seemed very logical to give up. I'm just going to put it like that. It seemed very logical and very understandable if I said, you know what, I gave this a shot. Let me just walk away and continue working on continue working as a digital marketing specialist. So, yeah, even like as the journey continues, it just a lot of times it seems very logical to just throw the towel and walk away. So it's been like that for most of the time. Yeah,
and you tend to find as an entrepreneur, you get that feeling around about every 3 months or so.
Yeah. Do you run your own business?
Yes, I do. I also.
Okay.
We also sort of, I guess it's in software design and software that we sort of sell, and so it's sort of game to you. That's why it's just you 22. I'm like 51.
Well, my goal is a bit weird, so. Yeah, my work ethic is it's a bit unrealistic to some people. Yeah.
No, fantastic. And listen, I think most of the innovation, that happens in the IT industry doesn't come from 50-year-olds.
You think so?
It comes from guys. Yeah, it comes from guys sort of between their 20 and 30. And if you look at all the biggest sort of companies, it was guys in their 20s and 30s that actually developed those companies.
Yeah. But like with that though, what for me is interesting is that, so what I used to tell my mom, right? I used to tell my mom that 10th grade, I'm dropping out, or I'm not going to go to university. I'll tell her that quite consistently, and then I'll make examples of Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and for a while that was a great example. But then if you have to look at the majority of billionaires, a lot of them actually went to school, got a degree, did what they had to do, and then they started businesses, got the experience, and then they started businesses. A classic, kind of a great example is Jeff Bezos. He literally he did well at school in university. I think he got cum laude or something like that. Like he was first at whatever he was studying, and then he got the work experience, and only later did he start Amazon. So for me, I think it really depends, because now it depends on how you operate as an individual. Some people are good without having to go to school, and some tend to kind of have to go through that process to build a very effective brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just thinking for us, I worked until I was about 28, and it was about 28 to 29.
Okay.
I started my company. So
that
was my...
Okay. How was it in the beginning?
The experience, very difficult. It was a lot more difficult than what I expected. So that's why I think if you're going to start a business, it's better to do it earlier rather than later, because you can probably afford it more earlier.
Yeah.
For the ups and downs and if it potentially fails, you can still bounce back from it.
Yeah, exactly.
In life, the more difficult it is to actually start a business.
Yeah, because you do lose. People don't really want to talk about that, but like for me, how I see it is, it's like you lose, but there's a certain time period where you get to a point where you don't lose that much anymore, So for me, it's like, okay, when you're starting out and you have children to feed, then it's then it's a very different story, It becomes much more harder to...
It'd be nice if the business was set up by that point.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you. So starting young is probably in anything though. I think in any whatever dream or goal anyone has, it's always better to just start young, because then the risk is less.
And look, I must tell you, Peter, that what we found is that the IT industry offers something that many other industries don't. And we've had guys from that have started with us that went to public schools in the south of Johannesburg. there was no opportunity to go to university or anything along those lines. And sort of 5-6 years later, they've gone on to totally change their lives, their family lives. Like, and now they get flown to Cape Town for business meetings. And,
wow,
these are guys who 6 or 7 years ago were at Forest High School.
Sure.
Not at schools, but it's just, you don't expect this necessarily in this day and age with somebody who hasn't gone, on to make it to get through university. And I think IT, it offers something that many other industries don't. That's my thought. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's scalability. It's easier to scale a software than it is to scale like a coal mining company, So for me, it's just, it's all about scalability. Even now, as I'm growing older, okay, cool. I'm starting to see, okay, where can I put my money in? Once I have enough cash to start putting in certain things, and definitely IT, putting into tech startups is probably one of the best ways a person can ever invest in, because it's so much easier for that technology to reach a wide audience. So that's why I think it's easier to make a lot of cash in the tech industry.
For sure. Okay, so there's a couple of things I noted on your LinkedIn profile that interested me. So the first one was AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes, huge fan of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to share our secrets a little bit about the company. So while I was learning JavaScript, the whole point was to kind of just build this AI. And what it does is it crawls the web, and then it gets leads for businesses, and then those leads usually turn into clients. So they just say you go into Merge Mega and you sign up as a business consultant. But what happened is, when you get into Merge Mega, you would get your own dashboard, and then that dashboard will already have people who are specifically looking for you, right? Those are going to be the leads. And then all you have to do is respond to them and then have a one-on-one consulting session with them, so they become clients. So basically what the AI does, it literally crawls the web and searches for people that are looking for your services. So that's kind of how I started. But now what I'm also focused on is I'm looking for, I literally just started this. I'm looking for companies to train regarding Amazon Web Services SageMaker, because that for me has worked pretty well, and I think it can work very, very well for other businesses as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've used SageMaker, eh?
Yes, I do. You use it as well?
And no, we actually don't. We're more on the Google side with our AI.
You should really use it.
That's where you
should really use it.
I'm guessing that's where your 30,000 Rand. Sorry, I'm guessing that's where your 30,000 Rand bill came from.
No, actually, I think it didn't. I don't know if it existed back then. I don't think it existed back then. It was 2020 or 2021. It just, the rest of Amazon Web Services, because I was literally just fiddling around and I didn't read the terms and conditions. So, but it didn't come from that. That I'm 100% sure about. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. So SageMaker is an absolutely fantastic tool.
It is.
We happen to do our AI stuff on the Google Cloud platform, but we're very big Amazon guys ourselves. So big.
Okay.
In fact, yeah. When was it? About 3 years ago now, we went to a conference in Las Vegas called REMARS, and it stands for Machine Learning, Artificial Intelligence, Robotics in Space. And
wow.
I think if you ever get a chance to go to REMARS, you have to go.
REMARS.
Away with what REMARS, REMAR.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
Happens in around about August every year.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Now
the second thing, Peter, was NFTs.
Yes. Oh, NFTs.
So that's what's interesting me. What are you doing with the NFTs?
So I think I had, what happened was I got beginner's luck. So what happened was last year on NFT, everyone was talking about NFTs. These are the future. This is it. And I still believe that until now, but not in the way that how the world sees it. Like NFT, people see, majority of the people, when they think about NFTs, they think about this artwork, but it's more than that. So what I did was I was like, okay, I don't know what NFTs are at that time. I think it was about September-ish at that time, around about September last year. I'm like, I don't know what NFTs are, but I'm just going to figure around, join a lot of digital communities, see what people are saying, and then I'm going to try give my shot with NFTs. So what I did was, I started off like with web design. I'm very big on web design. I literally design websites for fun. It's like a hobby of mine. So I did that, and I did 3 different designs. And then those designs, before they even became NFTs, I just showed it to the community. And before they became NFTs, someone or 3 different people said, hey, they would like to purchase those web designs. I was like, okay. And they want to use them as NFTs. I was like, great, you do that. So I made a good amount of cash through that process, but then I had no luck after that. What did happen though is so people started thinking, and I know a lot about NFTs. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let me use this to kind of build my exposure a little bit as an entrepreneur. So what I did was I do like weekly classes about NFTs. And one of my friends, he was in that session, and I told him about the NFTs. I told him which NFT was doing well. And he literally straight after that call, he bought an AP Arts NFT collection. Well, he bought one. And he got very, very lucky. And I think within 2 or 3 weeks or so, like he was getting offered like 80,000 Rand for it, you know. So he got very, very lucky with that. But yeah, for me, so what an NFT is, it's a digital token. So what people think is it's an art, but it's the actual token. Like we get IDs, you know, like humans, we get IDs. With product, you get a barcode. So that thing, that's what makes an NFT special. It's that digital barcode. And that's what we're going to use to kind of build online communities and make it easier for content creators to own their content and also to build strong connection with your target audience. That's how I see NFTs kind of going towards. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I tried to explain it to somebody the other day, and they were, oh, it's a picture. And I said, no, it's not a picture. It's a form of ownership. And it's a form of ownership.
Yeah.
And I sort of explained to them that down the line, you can actually see that, you know, if you get your house, you won't get a title deed. You'll actually get an NFT. If you have a car, you'll get an NFT. So I said, this is the one part of crypto that is not just speculative. You know, at the moment, it's speculative around the ape images that were out sort of in November last year, but now they're down quite a bit. But that's the speculative side. But this technology is very much the thing that's coming out of crypto. This is going to be the thing that's going to, just in 5 years' time, NFTs are going to be normal. You know, people are going to and understand.
It's like, I don't know if you heard what Gary Vee did. He partnered up with a restaurant. And the game plan with that is to use NFTs to build like membership. So once you buy an NFT from that restaurant, you'll be able to kind of access different part of the restaurant just as a VIP, you know. So those things, they just, as a brand, I really highly suggest anyone who considers himself a good business person to get into NFTs, just to try and figure out a way to how do you build community around that, because it's like the internet, though. I mean, the internet. I read this. I followed this guy on Instagram. He owns like I think it's a consultant business. It's called Valuetainment, and they do a lot of YouTube videos. And he shared this article years ago, like in the early 1990s. There was this article that came out that said that the internet trend is now over. You know. So it basically was saying that internet was just a fad, came and then it left. But now, a couple of decades later, we're all relying on the internet, you know. I feel like that's going to be kind of the situation with NFTs and with the metaverse as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see you also dabbling in the metaverse and your marketplaces.
Yeah, well, the metaverse, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand with NFTs, you know. So what happened with me is I'm on LinkedIn quite a while. So someone sent me an email and they said, hey, listen, we saw your profile. We'd like you to be a guest speaker at this event. I was like, oh, cool, great. Let me research who these people are before I accept anything. You know, I researched who they are. and they've literally created their own metaverse, but it's also a 3D platform. So they have the option where you can actually buy those virtual reality glasses. You can buy that from them, but also you can just watch it as a 3D platform, similar to like a game. So I was guest speaker for that. Unfortunately for me, I think, best my understanding, I was the first ever speaker to kind of speak in the metaverse here in South Africa. So, yeah, it's happening. It's definitely happening.
22, you're getting around.
Like I said, I want to be a billionaire. So there's a lot of
22 you're getting around. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so Peter, tell us about now Mega Merge.
Merge Mega.
What exactly does it do? And Merge Mega. Yeah, Merge Mega. What does it do? And you have gone into it a little bit, but just a little bit more detail for the audience that's out there.
Yes. So there's two parts to Merge Mega, and I remember during the metaverse event, I was actually asked this question, and they said, Peter, what's different between Merge Mega and freelancer.com or Upwork? Yeah. And so there's two parts to it that makes it very different. So one, when you go into Merge Mega, there's a video consultant marketplace. So it's the video. So it's basically like watching a YouTube video, but now you can actually schedule a call with this person that you're viewing on this video, you know. So for me, it would have been great if I had a platform like that while I was learning how to code. It might have taken me a couple of months instead of a year, you know, because then I would have had the opportunity to just talk to this person one-on-one, have a session with them. So that's the one thing that makes it different. It's just the video streaming part. And then the other part is that, so on platforms like Upwork and freelancer.com, you actually compete. So once a person who's looking for an expert to support them, everyone sees that request. Everyone sees that request, and then they jump on and they compete, and they some people make stories up to just try and get this client. With Merge Mega, what happens is a person actually books specifically you, Sean. Like, they don't go to anyone else, they go to you. You know, so you on your dashboard, like I said earlier on your dashboard, you get to see this person, you know, and then you get to kind of confirm whether you can help them or not. So those kind of the two big differences. And very fortunately enough that the company's been growing for more than 200% for the last couple of months. So yeah, it's clearly working, luckily, very luckily. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just it provides clients for businesses using artificial intelligence.
Got you.
Yeah,
because and I see your pain with, like, say, freelance as an example, because we've used them plenty. And in a way, it's kind of great when you're looking for work, but I think to get work off of them, I would imagine it's very difficult. Yeah, no, it is.
You
seem to go up against people where it's just like you go, I don't understand how you're going to do it at that price.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, especially if you're competing with someone from India. Like, those guys, they know how. Yeah, they're very competitive when it comes to pricing. Yeah.
And in the back of the mind, it's just going, if I try to do it at this price, I just know this isn't going to work, and I'm going to scrap it and redo it, you know. So
exactly,
that's what I think with freelance. It's actually quite difficult to find somebody that you can actually work with, and those competing bids, it actually makes it too difficult to choose, you know.
Yeah. So exactly that. And also for me, what tends to happen as well is that sometimes, I mean, you book this person, you work with this freelancer, and then you find out that maybe I shouldn't have worked with this person. So with the video, with Merge Mega, you kind of get to see, okay, for example, let's just say, okay, I started my business and I'm looking for a digital marketing specialist, you know. I don't know what to look for. I don't know. I've never run a business before. So what I'll do is I'll go to Merge Mega, and then there might be someone who talks about email marketing. There might be someone who talks about social media marketing. And then from there I can see, oh, okay, this can bring me more returns than that. So let me book this person first, and then later on I can book that person. Just from watching the videos, you kind of just get to understand where you are and what you need exactly at that moment, you know? So that's, for me, is also just the beauty of it. It's one of those things where you kind of ask yourself, like, why hasn't this been created? Like, I remember listening to Mark Zuckerberg, and he said that he was very shocked that there wasn't first, he didn't believe that he would be the guy who actually connects the world. He thought that a much bigger corporate will clearly see this and they'll execute it. So maybe I'm in that situation where I feel like maybe someone else could do it much better than I can. But right now, we're doing a very, very good thing.
Oh, fantastic. And if you're talking about 200% growth over the last few months,
yeah,
it's out of this world.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think it's something where certainly our company, we will be signing up with this, because we all need digital marketing, but we don't know how to do it, and you don't know how to get to the right people. And then you seem to get to a few companies out there, and then they don't do a good job for you. And so it's quite a tricky area to actually find people in.
Yeah. No, it is.
Great, man. Peter, my last question to you is, I think for me, because I'm also in my own business, there's nothing better than seeing somebody who's 22, anywhere between 22 and 30, that's actually venturing out and starting their own business. And I would imagine that for many people out there, this is like their dream. You're at 22 and you've actually done it. What's your advice for, there's thousands of people around South Africa and Africa and the world who actually, what you're doing is exactly what they want to do. This is like you're living the dream. What's your advice?
Well, my first advice is make sure you have a high pain tolerance. Have a very because it's not easy. But on a serious note, though, I really think you need to have like a vision of yourself. I have this saying, this quote of mine that I came up with. I think I thought about it when I was in grade 11, and it basically says that live with faith and work with vision. And my thing is that you need to have a big vision, and that big vision to some extent should feel a little bit impossible, and it should scare you, and you need to hang around people that kind of see the type of person that you can become. I think I was very fortunate with that, where I'll tell people these absurd desires and visions and dreams of mine, and they'll be like, okay, cool, well, let me help you start, So for me, it's one, have a very, very big vision, and then two, be realistic about the work ethic that's required, An example is, so I had another business which failed. It was very, 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 but it led me to something else, but that business failed. And then what I did, though, to prepare for that, I worked as a truck driver assistant. I was like, okay, I just got out of private school, so it's going to look kind of weird for me to to work as a truck driver assistant, but I'm going to do it. I need the cash. I'm going to do it. And when I started working as a truck driver assistant, I was packing stuff, and then I started getting to work at the same time as the manager, and I started leaving at the same time as manager. That was came in at about 5:30, and then would leave at like 10 p.m. So for me, I was very realistic about the amount of work that's required to kind of be able to pull this off. And my third advice and kind of big one is you kind of have to have faith. A lot of it. There'll be, like I said earlier on, there'll be a lot of times where what you want to happen seems really, really unrealistic at that time, and that's when for me, I believe in God, and whoever's watching this, I think whatever faith you may have, just really have a lot of it. Because it's literally, like I said, it's about how much pain you can handle along the way. So those are kind of the three things that I advise anyone who wants to start a business that can scale quite quickly.
Great stuff, Peter. Well, I'm very much in your club with the faith side, and that's what keeps you going, eh?
Yeah, exactly that. It is. It really is.
So, Peter, I would like to wish you all the best with Merge Mega. And what I'd like to do is maybe just in about 3 or 4 months' time, I'd love to set up another interview, because I think this is, man, there's not that many South African success stories where You got people from multiple countries actually working on your software. You know, as it is, this is already like a sizable story. You know, so thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate your time in coming on. And
thank you so much.
Catch up with you again in a few months' time. I think you're
fantastic
story to be told.
I would really like to come back again because so what's happening now is we're doing our first seed round. We're in the process of kind of raising $1 million. And this week I haven't been working. I've literally been answering calls, different people calling, and they want to see how they can invest and stuff. So within the next 3 months, I think we might have a very hyped up story about how big the company is and everything. So I'd definitely love to come back and yeah, we can talk more about it, you know. And I'm also in the process of registering Merge Mega through Delaware as well. So that's going to put us in a completely different level. So yeah, I'm keen to come back and tell you guys what's happening and everything. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's been fun. It's been really, really fun. And yeah, I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much. Chat soon, eh?
Cheers.
Cheers.